Hello there, and welcome to my channel Novice Modelling in the Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy, and today we're going to be looking at my RPM transporter TRC Lorraine 37L, which is in the 1/35th scale, which is RPM kit number 35052. This particular kit was originally produced in 1997, and this particular cover art that I've got suggests it's from around about 2004 when it came with some new decals, I believe. So it's a French it's a French munitions transporter and fuel transporter designed for the French army. Unfortunately, the blurb on the instructions is in Polish, and I don't read Polish, so I'm going to revert to Wikipedia and just read you a basic description from there. The Lorraine 37L, or Tracteur de Revitellement Pochard 1937L tank supply tractor, is a lightly armoured vehicle developed by the Lorraine Company during the interwar period before the Second World War to a April 1936 French Army requirement for a fully armoured munition and fuel supply carrier to be used by tank units for front lines resupply. A prototype was built in 1937 and production started in 1939. In this period, 2 armoured personnel carriers and a tank destroyer project were also based on its chassis. Mainly equipping the larger mechanised units of the French infantry arm, the type was extensively employed during the Battle of France in 1940. After the defeat of France, clandestine manufacture was continued in Vichy France, culminating in a small AFV production after the liberation and bringing the total production to about 630 in 1945. Germany used captured vehicles in their original role of a carrier, and later finding the suspension system to be particularly reliable, rebuilt many into tank destroyers, Panzerjäger, or the Marder 1 type, or into self-propelled artillery. Now, I found a couple of things online about this, and I kind of knew a little bit about this anyway, so I might just bring the computer in later on and we can just have a look at a couple of pictures that I found. But we'll just have a look at the kit and the parts and the instructions first, obviously, because that's what we normally do. So, instructions wise, I mean, it's only got 3 sprues, so it's kind of small and kind of easy to manage, I think. So we've got a sort of basic sprue diagram here on this page and on this page. And on section 1, we're going to start looking at some of the suspension mountings, which we're going to put our road wheels on. This here looks like the base of the unit. Section 7, 8, we're going to start putting the actual hull together. So we've got the base plates, and then we've got the sides and the front and the rear. Then we're going to start attaching our suspension and our road wheels. And then we're going to put the front drive sprockets, I think these are on the front. Section 10, we're going to put some more mechanicals on the outside. And then we're going to go on to section 12, where obviously we're putting these little brackets on to attach our upper hull to. Section 16 and 17, we're going to start attaching parts to the upper hull, and then we're going to put that together, and eventually in section 19 and section 20 we end up with something like that, ready for painting and decaling. So like it said in the description, this was originally used by the French army between 1936, I think it was, and 1940, and afterwards it was taken in hand by the Germans, who utilised it for many things. So let's have a look at the sprues. Which one should we look at? This one here. So on this one, as we can see, we have, these are going to be the sides of the hull. We've got our drive sprockets, we've got parts of the suspension by the look of it, we've got this sort of grilled part here, road wheels. These are going to be the sort of brackets that we attach the upper hull to. That kind of looks like a seat, and that looks like sort of the back of a bench of a seat, because it's kind of got that sort of indented, sort of padded look to it. We've got some nice detail on the road wheels here, as we can see, and it generally looks quite nice. I mean, I think this is the only RPM 135 kit that I've got, and it's quite nice. I mean, I bought it for $14.99 with a bunch of other things in February or March, I think it was. So I think I got a good price on it. As we can see, we've got the upper hull here. We've got lots of quite pronounced rivets on this. They do look quite a little bit heavy, maybe. I'm not exactly certain. We've got a standard shovel. Here we have what looks like sort of the rear, I believe that's going to be. That's going to be our floor panel. Plain on one side. We've got some nicely detailed sort of vents here with more rivets going around the sides. They're going to be the... It's probably going to be the sides, I reckon, here, maybe. Again, it's got some nice detail on it. And that's going to be some sort of vent. Moving on to the next sprue. This is just basically repeated the first sprue, so we've got the actual side panel and we've got all our sprockets and road wheels and more of these sort of seat looking things. We get two slightly creased, unfortunately mine are, of these sort of rubberized sort of fake rubber tracks. They're only quite thin, but obviously it's quite a light vehicle, so you don't expect to have really big, thick, heavy tracks on this, I don't suppose. We've also got a loose part. Don't know. And then we move on to our decal sheet. Now obviously all these are French number plates and we have multiple options, and we also have some unit insignia, which is all quite nice, and some looks like some hull art or something like going on here. Not exactly certain, but we get multiple options to do it up if we have one or two of these sort of in a diorama of some sorts. Now I actually bought this with the intention of introducing it into an Africa core theme or diorama type thing, because I was aware of it previously because I have this book obviously, and as you can see here we've got a munitions transport and craft. Let's just get that up a bit. Lorraine Schlepper with 7.5 Pack 40 15th Panzer Division, Tunisia 1943. So that was one utilisation of it in the sort of German army in the Africa Corps. There also is a sort of rather slightly more famous utilisation of it, which is as the Lorraine Schlepper LGS FH13, which had a... Let's just check. It had a heavy gun on it. I'm not quite sure. I think it was a 10.5cm gun mounted on it in a sort of armoured compartment. There was quite a lot of these produced, and they had a sort of random tendency to turn up later in history. Now, when I was just sort of scooping through the internet looking at this, I found a kind of interesting, I thought it was kind of interesting website, so I put a link to this on. I mean, it's not really talking about the standard Lorraine on its own, but it does sort of focus on these adaptions that the Germans produced, and this is from the online tank museum. And I mean, I'd seen a video of this. There you can see 60 of these adaptions in after the Germans had produced them. And I'm just going to scroll right down to the bottom, because I mean, it gives you quite a lot of sort of nice little hints on colouring, but obviously I'm only really interested in the munitions carrier. But I had seen a video previously on sort of abandoned tanks and armour, and there was one that kind of struck me as kind of bizarre, which was this one. A photograph was taken by a Danish soldier in 2005. It stood as a monument at the entrance to an ordnance factory north of Basra in Iraq, not far from the remains of a Saddam Hussein memorial. And obviously, you know, it's kind of sad to see a very rare vehicle sort of left. I mean, fair enough, it was as a memorial, but, you know, unfortunately, that was what happened to it a couple of weeks later. It had been stripped by the locals of all the armour. So who knows what happened to that rather rare vehicle. Like I say, I'll put a link to this page in the description box, because I thought it was kind of an interesting read at the end of the day. So there we go. There's my little what's in the box kit review on my TRC Lorraine 37L by RPM, kit number 35052. There are, if you check Scalemates out, there are actually multiple variants of this, and they do, the kit number does actually vary quite a bit. Also, it is still kind of available on eBay, but it's kind of hard to find. So if you do see one, it's probably worth snapping up, because it's quite an interesting and an interesting vehicle to sort of, you know, if you are into your Africa Corps, it's kind of an interesting vehicle to put alongside the standard German stuff. So thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and as always, be seeing you.